If you want to see more detailed images, videos, and the full article, check the link in the description. A surge in European defense spending and a renewed debate over mandatory military service are sweeping the continent, fueled by anxieties surrounding a potentially unpredictable Donald Trump administration and an increasingly assertive Russia. A recent European Council on Foreign Relations (ECFR) survey spanning 12 countries reveals a significant shift in public opinion. Across the board, there's a growing concern for national security, manifesting in a palpable desire for stronger defense capabilities. The survey, encompassing 16,440 adults, paints a nuanced picture. In Poland, Denmark, and the UK, majorities favor increased defense budgets, a whopping 70% in both Poland and Denmark, and a substantial 57% in the UK. While support is less emphatic elsewhere, significant minorities in Germany, 47%, Spain, 46%, and France, 45%, also endorse larger military expenditures. Italy stands as a notable exception, with only 17% supporting higher spending, significantly outnumbered by the 57% opposed. The reintroduction of compulsory military service, a concept once largely relegated to history's pages, is also gaining traction, albeit with notable demographic distinctions. Across France, 62%, Germany, 53%, and Poland, 51%, considerable support exists for reinstating the draft. However, this support conspicuously wanes among the 18 to 29-year-old demographic, the very age group most likely to be directly impacted by such a policy. In fact, opposition to mandatory service outweighs support in several countries, including Italy, 50% against, the UK, 53%, Spain, 56%, and Hungary, 58%. A stark generational divide is apparent. Older populations exhibit far stronger support for the draft, as illustrated by Germany, where a net 49% of those over 70 favor it, contrasted with a net 46% opposition among the 18 to 29-year-olds. The survey's findings also shed light on the deep divisions within European public opinion concerning Donald Trump's return to the U.S. presidency. The traditional transatlantic alliance finds itself profoundly shaken, as traditional allies express increasing skepticism towards the American political system. A striking majority in the UK, 74%, and Germany, 67%, believe the U.S. system is broken, a sentiment further emphasizing the growing unease with Washington's leadership. Ivan Krastev and Mark Leonard of the ECFR, in a paper accompanying the survey results, highlight the increasingly ideological nature of EU-US relations. They draw a compelling parallel, suggesting that the relationship between some far-right parties and Trump mirrors the Cold War allegiances between former communist parties and the Soviet Union, characterized by a sense of obligation to defend and emulate the respective leader. The authors posit that European far-right parties, previously influenced by Vladimir Putin's Russia, now view Trump's political system as a model, a stark contrast to the critical stance adopted by mainstream party voters towards both Trump and the U.S. political system. This allegiance to Trump within far-right and national populist circles persists even amidst a considerable minority within those parties who perceive his re-election as detrimental to the United States. For example, a significant portion of AfD voters in Germany, 34%, National Rally supporters in France, 28%, and Reform UK voters, 30%, consider Trump's re-election very bad or rather bad for American interests. These findings arrive on the eve of a crucial NATO summit, where members will be pressed to increase defense spending to at least 5% of GDP annually by 2032. This target, however, has already met resistance. Spain has dismissed it as unreasonable and counterproductive, while Italy seeks to extend the deadline to 2035, highlighting the varied approaches to this escalating security concern. The survey reveals a widespread European skepticism regarding the feasibility of complete independence from the U.S. Citizens in Germany, Spain, Poland, and Italy expressed considerable doubt about the EU's ability to achieve autonomy in defense and security, viewing it as very difficult or practically impossible. Only in Denmark, facing direct threats from Trump's claims on Greenland, did a slim majority, 52%, believe EU defense autonomy is attainable. Denmark, unsurprisingly, exhibits the most pronounced antipathy towards Trump, with 86% viewing the U.S. political system as broken and 76% deeming his re-election detrimental to U.S. citizens. Interestingly, several European publics voice support for developing an independent national nuclear deterrent, thereby reducing reliance on the U.S. This sentiment is strongest in Poland, 60%, Portugal, 62%, and Spain, 54%, while Germany shows comparatively weaker support at 39%. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, while suggesting a potential nuclear sharing arrangement with France and Britain, acknowledges the irreplaceable nature of the U.S. security umbrella for much of Europe. A significant finding offering a glimmer of hope for Ukraine is the widespread European opposition to following the U.S. should Trump pressure Ukraine into ceding occupied territories or lift economic sanctions against Russia. Even in Hungary, a country whose government has consistently hindered agreement on EU sanctions, 40% oppose mirroring any U.S. move to lift sanctions, outnumbering the 38% who favor it. Other countries show far stronger majorities against emulating a pro-Russia policy on Ukraine that might originate from the U.S. The ECFR report's authors offer two interpretations of this pro-Ukraine sentiment. One suggests a desire for an independent European policy supporting Ukraine, resisting blind adherence to Trump's lead. The other proposes a more cynical view, suggesting Europeans want Ukrainians to continue fighting on their behalf. Mark Leonard aptly summarizes the survey's implications. Our poll shows that Europeans feel unsafe and that Trump is driving demand for increased defense spending, the reintroduction of military service, and an extension of nuclear capabilities across much of Europe. Ivan Krostev adds a poignant observation. The real effect of Trump's second coming is that the United States now presents a credible model for Europe's far right. To be pro-American today mostly means to be skeptical of the EU. To be pro-European means being critical of Trump's America. The ECFR survey's findings serve as a powerful illustration of the shifting geopolitical landscape and the complex interplay between domestic anxieties and international relations in modern Europe. The looming NATO summit will undoubtedly be shaped by these findings, highlighting the urgent need for a unified, yet nuanced, approach to the evolving security challenges facing the continent.